Welcome to Village in Motion, Christmas Eve 2015. I'm Clint Lambert, host of the show today, and today is dedicated to the Resident Council. And we're going to be talking about all the great things Resident Council is going to be doing next year due to the fact that we have new officers who were just elected to the Resident Council. And the very first officer that we have is the President-elect at the present time, Mary Sue Garner, and we welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And then we also have Gray Parks, who is well known around here, and he is the new Vice President-elect for the Resident Council. And Gray doesn't have his guitar this morning, so he won't be doing Troubadour today, I reckon.
But I wish I had.
You wish you had. Very good. But welcome. I'm glad to have both of you here this morning, and especially glad since both of you are the two of the new officers to the council, and it means I am getting short-timers attitude in regards to it. If everybody doesn't know, I've been honored to be the president of the council for the last couple of years, actually the last 3 years, and my term ends the end of this month, and I look forward to some relaxation and some fun time while Mary Sue and Gray do their thing. One other council officer was elected this year for next year, and that's Carolyn Nagler. And unfortunately, due to some health issues that she's just recently had, she could not be with us this morning. But we're very glad to have Mary Sue and Gray with us this morning.
Delighted to be here.
Good. Mary Sue, what are you going to be doing next year in regards to the council?
That's a good question, and I'm working on that.
Okay.
But you know, in thinking about what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about today, and what I would like to have happen next year, I really want the year to be uneventful.
Okay.
I would like for us to have no big disasters or catastrophes or big problems. I would like us to work on all the things that have been happening this year and finalize them or whatever needs to be done. For instance, the sprinklers,
yes,
the installation of the sprinklers and all of that. Get that done and working, and finish off the parking, work on the signature dining and get that going so that we all love it, we
yes.
hope. You know, those kinds of things.
Right.
Hopefully not starting any real new projects that just disrupt the campus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think, having had the pleasure of working with all three recent execs that we've had here, feel like I've been in a training process for the last 3 years. But having worked with everyone, there's an increased communication between the council and administration, and you're going to be working very closely with Ben this next year in regards to things. So.
Yes, and as vice president, I've gotten to know him through
Right.
our executive committee meetings, and he's just so good about including us in everything, letting us know what's going on, getting our opinions.
Right.
And I really do look forward to working with him.
Good.
He's transparent. He wants to let us know what's happening.
Right.
And he's going to be one of our real advantages
Yes.
here.
I would certainly think so.
Yeah.
In every respect. The council, though, can't function just with you.
No.
It requires a lot of input from everybody else. And this year you're going to have, about 100 people involved?
Yeah, we're in the 95 range, I think, right now, and hopefully a few more people will volunteer. But we've had a lot of people volunteer for committees. The committees are all set up. We have almost all of the chairs. I think we have one more to go.
Okay.
We need about 3 secretaries, and then we'll be all set.
Wonderful.
Letters have gone out letting people know that they are on the committees. And in January, we'll start meeting with the committees.
Right.
And the important thing for residents to know is that committees, that's where the work happens.
Yes.
They're the ones that do the work, and then we just oversee it. So our job is a little bit easier in that. But we're really looking forward to good committees working, continuing on. Let me tell you who our
Okay.
liaisons are.
Sounds like a great idea.
One of our new committees is Ancillary Health Services, and the liaison there is Carolyn Posey.
Okay.
And then we have the Council Communications Committee. That will be Sally Sutton. Dining Services will be Ivan Ives. He was the secretary last year, so he has a real good idea of what happens there.
Great.
Finance, Ken Cockey will do that committee again. General Services will be Peggy Kellers. She's new to the committee, but I think she's going to be a real good leader in that area. The Medical Center in Garden Ridge will be Peggy Patterson, who had that committee last year and wanted to continue again, and we see good things happening there. Resident Life will be Diane Member, one of our new elected reps, council members.
Right.
And she's been on the committee for a couple of years, knows what's happening, and so she will do a good job there. And then Sales and Information, Chuck Harding will be liaison there.
Okay. Another one of the newly elected.
Another one of the newly elected.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So those are the liaisons to the committees.
Right.
Excuse me. There are 8 committees,
Yes.
and you have a new committee coming up with ancillary.
Ancillary Health Services. Yes.
Why don't you tell us what that involves?
Okay, that committee, we decided, it was part of Resident Life, and we decided it really didn't belong there. It needed its own committee. And the parts that we put with ancillary health are the home support, the certified home health, companions, hospice, and the outpatient rehab. Okay. And it just seemed that they were being neglected in all the things that we were doing. And so this focuses on that area, and they touch so many people at a time when they need help.
Yeah.
And so we're looking forward to having that one work. Nancy J. will be the manager that's assigned to that committee, and that should give Resident Life more time to work on the other kinds of activities we have on campus.
Right. And so to remove really 3 departments, I mean, it's one major department, but 3 different entities from Resident Life. I mean, they became the junk committee.
Yes.
Almost. I mean, they kind of got dumped on with everything.
Yes, and you know that well.
Yes.
Because his wife was the chair of the committee.
I got to hear about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, Gray, what are you going to be doing this coming year?
I'm going to be helping Mary Sue.
Okay. Yeah. In what respect?
Well, in every way I can. But I also like to look at some perhaps ways of measuring our success. And to do that, you've got to go back to basics. And the basics, I think, of first place, why did we come here? And if we look at why we came here, basically it's to enjoy life. In our last phase, we all recognize this is our last phase of life, for most of us anyway. And it's an undetermined period.
Yeah, exactly.
So we want to enjoy it.
Exactly.
And we want to reduce the stresses and the hassles of daily life, because that's one of our reasons for coming here. We want to be able to socialize with our peers. That was, to me, that was one of the important things.
Certainly.
Here. And to remain independent of the family, although we want to be able to continue to be a big part of the family life. So to me, those are the reasons why we moved here. And I think that everything that we do in the council should be looking at, remembering that is our objective, is to satisfy those reasons for moving here. And let's define the Green Spring resident.
Yes.
You know, I have a math background, and I like definitions. So and it's one of those things. Well, the Green Spring resident, what is he? Well, or she?
Yes.
We grew up during the Depression years. So therefore, during the Depression years, we really lacked a lot. We had to eat everything on our plate. We, all of that sort of stuff. We were living without a lot of things, but we still enjoyed life.
Right.
We remembered the all-consuming years of World War II, where everybody pitched in. We had problems. We've gone through the problems of raising a family. We all understand that. We also had the joys of watching our children prosper and multiply. And we participated in several of our country's wars. We had significant careers involving managing and working with people. We enjoyed success in many ways, including financial rewards and job satisfaction. And we placed value on quality of product, good work ethics, and sincerity.
Yes.
Now, I think those are given why we came here and who we are, should be what we measure our work against. There are some factors that I would look at in terms of that. Those factors I've identified 5, I guess it is, and I'm sure there are others.
Okay.
Hassle.
Huh.
I would define hassle as the unnecessary harassment of others because of your convenience or lack of consideration of people's daily routines, which making decisions involving decisions involving everybody's daily life. So that's a hassle. I would like the council and our committees to think about that when decisions are made, or when they're judging something, or when are they evaluating something that's happening. Is it a hassle to the resident?
Yeah. And so does it affect the resident, and in what way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can be little ways, but yet it's something that annoys the person. And
Right.
why annoy somebody if you don't have to?
Yeah.
And
Great point.
To me, there's a lot of things that have happened that perhaps fall under the term of hassle that should not have happened. Responsiveness. When we had something happen at home, usually you took care of it immediately.
Yes.
Now, we could do that because it was a matter of calling the plumber or the electrician or whatever it was, or you did it yourself. We don't have that pleasure here. Well, it was a pleasure then, but that's one of the reasons for moving. Because it became a hassle.
That's all. Right. Yeah.
But responsiveness, to the needs or to the events that happen.
Right.
To me, so we really need to look at our ability to respond more quickly.
Yes.
Communications, so important because communications are involved in responsiveness. It's involved in hassle. It's involved in everything because if you don't communicate among the three, the management, the resident, and the council itself, if we can't communicate with each other, and we can't communicate effectively and timely, then we start having problems that are, well, not that problems, but they are within the residents' seeds of doubt. They wonder why, what's going on, why hasn't this happened, and so forth. And when they have those doubts, then you have problems.
Yes.
We don't have any problem on time, I don't think.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Not yet.
Right.
Involvement. The involvement of residents, to me, is a very important aspect of life here. And the lack of involvement, we've experienced several things where the lack of involvement has created dissatisfaction, problems. And we've also had several times where we've actually had the involvement of residents very, very closely with it, identified. For example, the second elevator in Village Square. I remember when they first decided that, yes, we can have and they came up with the preliminary drawings. They brought them to the committee. From the committee, we were able to say, we see some problems here and there and so forth. So they went back to the drawing board. The problem was we didn't hear any more about it, though, until Ben came.
Yes.
And then we heard, the elevator parts are here and they're ready to be installed, but Ben said, let's take another look at the plans, and so we got, again, involvement of the people. Right. And I'm sure that we'll still have a few problems when the elevator's installed, but they'll be much less than they would be if everything had just been done arbitrarily.
And that's happened so many times around here. If residents get input or have the opportunity for input, things seem to flow smoother.
That's right.
In regards to it.
At least we don't have any excuse on our part from residents. Right. We had our chance to say something about it. Yep. I think a lack of involvement is the new dinnerware. The new dinnerware is something that, I don't know, it bothers people. Yeah. I've heard a lot of comments about the new dinnerware. You can't keep your knife on it, and so on and so forth. And that was made arbitrarily by the people in dining services had they put out 3 different place settings of those and allowed residents to comment on them, get comments, there would not be a problem. Right. If it's the same one that they picked, then they don't have a reason for comment.
Exactly.
But anyway, the parking changes, I think, is another good example. Right. We had an ad hoc committee, and the ad hoc committee met several times with General Services, and as a result, we came up with things that changed within, but they changed for the good, and
Right.
we've had a few problems. People have been dissatisfied with the changes, but yet we have to accept some changes, and we have to accept some hassle if it's for the good of everybody else. Let's see. Oh, the couch selection process.
Oh,
Remember,
okay.
we got to choose that.
Yes, yes.
We got input
Yes,
on it
yes.
anyway. Attention to detail. And here's a place where, you know, I don't know if you were a carpenter, if you did a lot of do-it-yourself projects around the
I
house.
try to avoid them.
But there's a rule that you measure twice and saw once.
Yes, right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's attention to detail. And we've had several problems. I think the elevator and town center changes are a good example of where Ben has paid attention to detail by, again, getting our product, but he's looked very closely
Right.
at the things that go on in each of these and how they affect each other. So I think that's a good idea. The directions on the use of the remote control. You know, we spend a lot of time with the remote control on the pages that really told people how to do it, defining each step very meticulously. Card table legs is a problem where we didn't have attention to
Right.
detail because apparently we had 3 sizes that were described in average, medium, or large, or whatever it was, and there was no definition of how long
Right.
the actual were. So there was a lack of attention to detail there. Well, I could go on lots of others. The Village in Motion starting at 10 sharp.
Yes.
For example, and our cameraman making sure that they get our pictures just right. That's attention to detail. So
And they do a good job of that.
they do a good job of it, absolutely.
Okay.
So those are the things, and I would kind of like to see our work in the coming year be measured against these factors or other factors that we have come up with.
That sounds
I
excellent.
think these are reasonable ones.
Certainly, certainly. It sounds like you've got a plan.
Well, I've given it some thought.
Yeah, obviously.
And I think that's going to be our strength with Gray. He's thought all these things out.
Sure.
He called me yesterday and said, here it is. And I said, oh, that's great. And I had some of those things on my list, but he had a whole lot more.
Right.
And I agree with everything he said. And as he was talking at the beginning about who are we, we've got several generations here.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm sort of in a different generation because I didn't live through the war.
Right.
I was after the war. But we have the same needs
Yes.
and wants.
Right.
I was also taught I had to clean my plate, and save the children in China.
Right, exactly.
And because we didn't have a lot of money
Yeah.
in the family.
Right.
And so all those histories are there, and we have to keep that in mind.
Exactly.
And everybody comes from a little bit different place, and everybody has mostly the same problems, but there are different ones too.
And when we have a 42-year variety of individuals, I mean, we've got people from 62 to 104 living here in independent living. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, but yet, on the other hand, it's very difficult to satisfy each one of those generations and to satisfy 2,000 people. And so we're going to always have difference of opinion, and people need to voice their concerns and let the council know what's going on.
I think our average age is around 84, isn't it?
That's what I've
83?
heard, yes.
Yeah.
So
84, yeah.
the average
Right.
age puts us back into the
Right.
Depression and
Right.
the World War II.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but we have those younger ones.
Yeah.
And
Come
when Mary Sue mentioned cleaning the plate, reminds me of we're getting so many comments on why can't I have a half portion? And you know that stems from having to clean your plate.
Yep.
And
Yes, it does.
having your kids clean your plate.
Right.
And therefore, it would seem to me that really there should be a little bit more attention paid to being able to provide that half portion to the residents, because this is a big deal for some people.
Sure
They
it is.
really don't enjoy having a full plate and can't finish
You're not
it.
finishing it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand from dining services is they are working on how to do that, and they are actively looking at what can they do in regards to it, to making the portion smaller.
Yeah.
Well, not every portion smaller.
See, and that's the other problem.
Those people who want that portion.
But that's the other issue is, well, how small do you make it? How many people really want it smaller? What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, an example of that, last night, I ate at Fireside, and one of my sides was broccoli, and I had 4 big crowns of broccoli. I would never have 4 big crowns. I like 4 little ones maybe, but it was just more than I could eat.
Yeah.
And more than I wanted.
Right.
So 2 crowns went back.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it
we
was the
can
same
get
with
half
everybody else.
portions in the vegetables, as I recall.
Where?
We can ask for half portions in the vegetables.
Yeah.
Well, and there's one of our problems, communication.
Right.
How do I know that?
Right.
Is that in just Fireside, or is it in Woodland Skies also? Or I don't eat at Fireside that often, so how am I supposed to find that out? It doesn't say it on the menu. So it's those little things that, the details,
Right.
that we really have to work on with the administration.
Right. And to make sure that gets communicated to the
And
residents.
make sure it gets communicated.
Right.
And one of the things, we have a new communication, not new, the communications, council communications committee. And we're hoping one of the things they might do is work with the administration on editing some of the flyers that go out to make sure they're correct the first time.
Right.
Because how many times have we gotten a second one because the first one was wrong?
Wrong.
And so, help with the details.
Yeah.
Work on that. Yeah.
The details of the menu, for example, how many,
Good point.
the typos in the menu just drive me up the wall. I don't like to see
Right.
typos.
Sure.
Reminds me of, I got this. I was advertising for an editor, and I got this letter from some person a guy who wanted to be the editor, and in a half-page letter there must have been 50 typos.
Didn't want that person.
Just it was. I used it as my example.
Sure.
And we have a real strength with Carolyn Nagler because she is really into the details and editing, and you've all read her articles in the Villager.
Exactly.
And so that will be one of our strengths there, I
Certainly.
think.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
You have a lot of strengths with the council this coming year, with the experience of individuals who are coming back and want to be on the same committees they've been on before, being able to continue the process that they've have undertaken. So, really great in regards to that. Other things about the council this coming year?
Well, one of the things that's going to happen is building the addition at Garden Ridge. And we're hoping that's going to go seamlessly. But the plans are to have the road go behind and behind Garden Ridge, and not the trucks not going through the community. So
Right.
it shouldn't be that bad.
Right.
Once they get it built, then we have to make sure that they let us help with the inside, the interior
Right.
decoration and things like that. We're, hopefully they're going to avoid the brown wallpaper and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
But that will be a good project once it gets started.
Yeah.
And then also working on the town center. And there are 6 residents on the committee now.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a big help, and continue what the first group did, but make some progress.
Yes. And it's really nice that residents are still involved in the design groups.
Yes.
And what's going on. And I think it's absolutely essential that continues along those
And I
lines.
look forward to the windows being changed out.
Yes.
That's going to be a hassle for people, but nevertheless, it's one of those things that we need to have happen, and therefore, and the elevator in Village Square, I mean, that's coming up. That should come up in the next year.
Yes.
So that's something that I think that we should look forward to. Again, we're going to be inconvenienced a little bit, and maybe not just a little bit, but a whole lot. But nevertheless, it's one of those things that we have asked for as long as I can remember. I've been here 6 years.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yes, Mary.
I was just going to say, speaking about that, we need to work on positive attitudes, because people have been asking for the windows, and once the construction starts, people are going to complain.
Yes.
And it's natural for us to complain, but we really have to stop doing so much of it.
Yes.
There's just a lot that doesn't need to be done.
I would totally agree, and I think that's one of the biggest negatives that we have about our residents living here is the fact of they get negative very rapidly in regards to things. I mean, I live on Maple Creek. I live on the ground level, and the lighting project and the hallway renovation has been going on for several years now, and we have almost completed it now. But people ask for better lighting. We did a lighting assessment, and the lighting was recommended. The lighting that's there now was what was recommended by the engineers. It meets the ADA standards for lighting, and now people are saying it's too bright. And so it's kind of like darn if you do, darn if you don't, in regards to it.
Yeah.
But I think we need to remember that we give input, and our input is valued. But yet when it comes back, then somebody else starts getting negative about the fact of what it's like. Well, it all started with residents providing input and requesting things. So,
And when residents do have concerns, they need to take them to the right place.
Yes.
Don't come to Clint before you've gone to General Services to call and say, can you fix this problem?
Right.
Do the things you need to do first, then come to us if things haven't happened, and then we'll do the best we can to help.
Yes. Very good. And as you know, I mean, for the last year, the President, the Vice President, and Secretary's names have been on the scroll almost on a daily basis. And I look forward to my name no longer being there, yet but having Mary Sue Garner's and Gray Parks and Carolyn Nagler's names and phone numbers.
And pictures this year.
And pictures this year, okay, on the scroll for people to give you guys a call, ask you questions, and do those kinds of things. And I really encourage everybody to really support the council this coming year, provide the input, let people know what you want. And we're just very glad that you guys are the new officers of the council, and that the council has great things going on this coming year.
Well,
We'll do the best we can.
we're looking forward to a good year.
Great.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Well, don't go away, folks. And by the way, thank you very much for coming.